and so do a lot of different things. Pretty active in cultural work, maintaining our traditional culture, our wisdom, our heritage, our skills, our practices. That's where a lot of my energy goes all the time. But just really, looking at and working on helping our communities out. And so I'm happy to be here today. And I'm also not an expert, but have gone through perimenopause and menopause, so can share some of those experiences with people that are interested. And I'm going to go with the person on my lower left, who's Sabrina.
Hi, and you're on my right, and I'm in between you two. This is so funny. And so I'm Sabrina. I am a mother of two, Reiki soul healer and certified massage therapist. And I feel like I'm here not as an expert either. If anything, I am a live active participant in perimenopause right now. It's happening in my life in my 40s, as it has in my matriarchal line. It just happens early in my family. So I'm here to learn and share experiences. And I'm gonna pass it to Yawo.
Hi. I don't know where I am, but there I am. Hi. Good afternoon and welcome everyone. I am Yawo, and in our collective, I am a bodywork practitioner. I am also a mother, grandmother, sister, friend, a former elementary educator, and I am no expert in this field at all. For me, where am I? Let's see. I am in my new spring. Yes, I am. And it's so wonderful and glorious. And so I'm so happy to be here with everyone.
You're on mute. But I'm wondering, I'd love to meet our other participants.
Yes, I wonder if you don't mind, Sister Tanzia. I know she's probably working. Tanzia and Jamie, if you could just say hi or introduce yourselves really quick and tell us where you are, where you're at. Jamie's like, I'm in this LA traffic driving. No.
Hi, no, I'm actually, hi everybody. I'm actually working, and it's interesting because I actually work for a GYN that does bioidentical hormones therapy for from 40 to, I mean, we even get men in their 80s for testosterone purposes. We'll talk about that later, but hopefully none of us need that conversation for our partners. However, she's been a godsend for me. I've actually been working with her, assisting her in many areas, and I've learned a lot as I'm in my 40s. It's been you'd be surprised that yes, you can, I started my cycle at 10. However, you look up and, we got patients that are still in their early 60s that are still spotting and going through things. And,
wow.
When I hit my 40s, I realized, I'm dealing with the fibroid out the blue. And, there's a lot of different things that you think when you hit the 40, 50s, that cycle is, to be this way. But it's like, the truth is, I think, not only in working and hearing a lot of these stories on a daily hormonally, but sometimes it's also part of what we're going through. If you're still a mother and and you're going through certain elements, like I always say, as we transition out, some of us that have daughters, as they're transitioning in, and it's an interesting cycle to be present for them as we are transitioning out, because we're wanting to release, and they're like, and we're like, whew, they're like, well, dang, well, why are you so happy to get rid of it? And it's like, no, you want to emphasize that positivity and celebratory, but it's like, oh, so I'm actually, I'm here because I want to offer whatever insight I can give. as well as I've been trying to really work on menstrual subscription kits for young girls.
Oh, beautiful.
Something that they can get, like you're getting your cycle every month, but you're receiving a gift in the mail as something positive versus like, oh, every month this is something to dread. It's something that you receive as a gift, and seeing it as something positive to transform that. And I think even as we transition out, it's important that we do that as well, you know, because we are shifting out, but it is such a powerful thing, you know, in so many ways. So that's all. And yes, I am in LA, and I'm here, I'm present. I'm working as I'm present.
No problem. Thank you for
having me. Thank you for having me.
Your voice.
Hi, Sabrina. I miss all my lock sisters.
I know. Jamie started my locks, y'all.
What? Me too.
Yep.
Hey.
From a shaved head. Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, we miss you too, Jamie.
Miss those fingers and conversations. Beautiful. And Sister Tanzia. She's probably working too. Are you working, T? Miss Shorty? You're muted. You're muted, love.
Hi.
Hi.
Jesus, I was muted the whole time. I'm working, but I'm also in tune because the perimenopausal thing is interesting, right? I'm 43, but I don't have the lineage to ask the women because they're all transitioning. So, but I'm feeling like 1 month is very bad. The next month is very short. The next month is very light. The next month it could be heavy. So it's like reading on it and putting my own 2 and 2 together on top of the mood swings and the hot flashes. I'm like, am I going through menopause itself, or am I perimenopausal?
Yeah.
So this is I'm glad that I am able to listen and chime in. I'm very present. So if you see me on my laptop, I'm still really, really listening. But these are questions that I think every woman has at this point that's in their 40s.
Right. Yeah. I think, you know, what I just put in our chat is a little a link, and it describes premenopause, perimenopause, and menopause. And it's very confusing because, like I think Jamie mentioned, and I like even my sister, I'm like, girl, this has been like 20 years. I feel like my big sister has been menopausal for 20 years. I know one of my elder sister, Linda, I swear it's been since I lived in Oakland. That's 20 years. And she keeps like, oh, and I'm like, wow, how long does this last? And I think it's like, it's generational, right. But then I also, yeah, so how do we get support for that? And I remember, you know, you were, Jamie mentioned those hormones. And I know, what is her name? There's an author. She's the first, she wrote a book, and I can't remember her name, but she's a doctor, but she's like a holistic OBGYN, and she talked about those bioidentical hormones, like offered it up in addition to herbal and treatments. But you know, I actually, because I heard Sabrina, like Tanzia, Sabrina has been very vocal and honest and transparent with us about her perimenopause. So I wonder if you would speak on it, and even speak on what you have tried or what you are doing.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So yeah, it's been an adventure. And I'm just for the past year. Now that it's almost September, last September, I was actually told to go to the emergency room because I was severely anemic. And I had so many heavy menstrual cycles in a row. Just, they were coming on the way they regularly come, but they were just more. And I was told, by family members, you start asking around, you're asking everybody in their 50s and 60s in your family, so what did you do? What happened with you? And, people were like, oh, they were fibroids. They just removed my uterus. And
Oh,
the ongoing thing in my trend in my family. So nobody endured it. Nobody found alternate ways. They just went surgical, took the advice, and had everything removed. Either had partial removal of a uterus or uterus and the ovaries. And that just kind of left me with, oh, thanks. That helped me not. So then I had to start, then of course, when I'm sitting in the emergency room, the doomsday doctors come to you and tell you, so you have to do something. What do you want to do? And of course, they present the surgery and the hormone pills or all these, like, really, it got really scary. I was really horrified. Really, it was like really frightening. We can get this, we can give you these pills and it'll go inside the veins of your uterus and it will shock it and and block the arteries or something in your uterus. And it might be a little painful. And then it's basically gonna kill the uterus. And I'm like, huh? I mean, it was just like so many different invasive measures that were just sounded horrific. And I said, no, 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 and no. So that's when I reared back a little bit and went, okay, what am I doing? What am I eating? What am I, because I'm not going to take any of these drugs. I'm not going to have them take out my uterus. I know women have had uteruses for years through their, till their death. Why do I have to have mine removed? I refuse to do that. So I started consulting Ayurvedic practitioners, a Chinese herbalist, and I'm trying to think of what else. Oh, and I start reading lots and lots of books. But really the key was for me just to start, because I went through a lot over this past year, is really changing my diet. Caffeine and sugar were the two main things that I crave the most and that were hurting me the most. Caffeine triggered the heavy bleeding, and sugar just caused so many other things, like with me internally. So I just want to say the things that we crave, the things that food that makes you feel good, that was the stuff that was hurting me. So it's increasing the vegetables and the fruit and the water, lots and lots of good water, good purified or mineral based water. But I have to say it's been because I went through a lot of, like I said, I was in the hospital and I don't go to the hospital. And I was so anemic that I had lost so much blood. They said, you could have a heart attack at any time. Your blood count is so low, you're in risk of a heart attack. I said, huh? I'm a healthy person. What do you mean? I don't eat all that stuff. And they're like, sorry, you're losing too much blood. So that was something that I realized, wow, so I could just be walking around and just drop dead. I didn't know. I just didn't know. So it's really a kind of a silent killer. I know they say heart attacks are killing our community. Well, how is the question? It's not just the fried foods and that. It could be, this time in our lives too, when our bodies were losing so much blood. I had tiny fibroids in my 30s and I got rid of those. I took, very, very aggressive action to get rid of those herbally. So those were gone. That wasn't the issue. I just feel like my whole cycle from when I was a young girl, starting really young and having really heavy periods and staying home from school and having the heating pad at home because it was just too heavy and too painful. I feel like I'm full circle. I'm back to that again, but it's magnified. And it's sometimes quite disabling. So
I have a question for you. What did the doctors tell you? Because my experience is that doctors usually tell us anything to do with our womb, that's except for this wonderful doctor that Jamie's working for. And her name is Christiane Northrup. I was trying to figure out her name. And the book is called Women's Body, Women's Wisdom. And she also has one for menopause. Like when I was a baby midwife, I read her book, and she talked about all the cycles. Like she approached every cycle of a woman's life, as if it was a rites of passage. So I looked at menopause differently, and we talked about even talking to girls about their periods differently. So wow, I wonder what if we change the story for menopause. But what do doctors tell women when you go in and you're saying, I'm having hot flashes, or my period, I'm bleeding, I'm hemorrhaging? Because that's a hemorrhage. Like I'm hemorrhaging every month, or I have fibroids. I've never had fibroids. You know, what is the response, and why isn't there more support? I guess
it's removal. It's always removal. But I'll let Jamie talk.
Okay. So I first want to address that, you know, there's a couple of things that, like I said when I first said it, that the cycle is also mirrored to our lives personally. And a lot of times we don't think to partner them, you know, meaning that I've seen women in their early 30s be going, or not early 30s, late 30s, go through things that a 65-year-old is going through. And sometimes it's just a matter of, you know, you getting a true diagnosis. You know, you got to first, a lot of times we just throw ourselves in this immediate understanding of it's perimenopause. Oh, girl, that's definitely what that. Oh, you must be. Oh, you probably have. Oh, you just stressed. Oh, it's anxiety. Oh, it's you're divorced and your kid is you're probably overwhelmed. That is so not the case. Everyone is uniquely different. And even as far down to our generations, you know, sometimes you might be someone that is actually breaking the curse of all the women have had ovarian cancer, or all the women before me had endometriosis. I mean, that's not always the case. The case is to first get a pelvic exam, do a ultrasound, you know, vaginal ultrasound and a pelvic, you know, for yourself. I always say individually research, but yeah, you know, Western, Eastern, they sometimes got to work hand in hand. And the truth is you want to know, okay, you get that vaginal ultrasound, you get the pelvic ultrasound, and you find out, okay, let me just see, do I have fibroids? Okay, let me weed that out. Do I have a thinning in my uterus? You know, let's weed out all the different possibilities first. Let's for sure get that done, just so you know for sure. And then two, there's the company is called Designs for Health. And I mean, maybe some of you have already been taking it or have it, but there's DIM. Does anybody take that to thin the cycle? It's called DIM, D-I-M. And I take, DIM-eval, EVAIL. And it, right before you are going to get your cycle, you want to start taking one a day. It'll just thin the bleeding. A lot of times also we need to check. I always say, if you feel that you really may be in that beginning stage of menopause, you are dealing with the hot flashes, you truly do feel like something is going on, you have a nice consistent diet, nutrition, you feel like you eat good, you know, you feel you live that balanced life. Because the truth is, yes, we all carry some form of stress. We have to be easy on ourselves as women. We carry the world as women. So it's like understanding that if you're late into your 40s and you still got little kids, you still got, and even if you have older ones, they're all different stresses that come at different ages. And we know that. So it's like, you want to be able to, again, give yourself a little time to, the balance. You got to balance what's happening. Yes, you're going through a shift. It's like you would tell your daughter, maybe take a bath. You know what, now might be a good time where you just go take a walk. And these are things, yes, as you enter the menopause stage of the reality that it is coming, it will be, whether it's at 41 or whether it's at 60, it is coming. And to understand that, like I said, it's no different than prepping a young girl for her entering. It's like understanding the exit, you have to be in conjunction with this doctor that's going to say, he's going to throw you in and say, okay, it must be this, start taking this progesterone, let's look at, your estrogen. Well, it may not be that. You might just be fine. Like Sabrina said, lay off of that caffeine. Let's balance out when you're going to sleep. Let's think about your thoughts. What are you actually stressing upon every day? Let's manage your lifestyle a little better. Let's look at these things. And then you start realizing, you know what? I feel better. I'm actually taking heed to these symptoms that seem to be arising at this time. So it's literally just, for me, it's like, get a real diagnosis for your individual self before tackling on what it could possibly question mark be, because we all have a lot of different things we carry in our lives personally that go in conjunction with this heavy bleeding, this fibroid that doesn't seem like it's getting smaller, it's actually growing. And like Sabrina, I don't want to do the surgery. So what are things that I can do to have a less stressful month? I want to be at ease. I want to do something that can make me feel better. Let me look at how I'm eating. Let me see maybe a nutritionist. Let get your balance lined up, but have a true diagnosis. So you know what to start reading about that's individually curated for you versus just as a whole. But I do know DIM is really good, whether if you're just having heavy cycles in general, it is something important it can thin it down, let me say. But if you are getting close to the 50 and you see yourself spotting every day, you look up and you're like, you know what? I seem to never not have a period. It's like I have a cycle, and then next thing you know, I just have these weird spottings, and you're like, okay, well, I'm not, like Asatu said, I'm not necessarily ovulating. I don't think I'm about to have no babies, but you might need to check that progesterone.
Right.
You might need to, and then it's up to you, however you choose to, what you want to start doing. But we gotta, as women, we really have to have a real diagnosis of what is happening. What are we actually going through, and really face it head on with what's happening. Some of us just dealing with death. Some of us so yeah, some months are going to be a bit extreme. It's same with like weight loss or weight gain. One thing to maintain it, because that's the hardest piece. We can lose weight, we can try to do this, but can we maintain it? No. And that's the beast of the day-to-day life of living. It's just how to maintain these things that we want to get a hold of. And we gotta really have a diagnosis of it.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Jamie. I just typed in a link about DIM. Never heard of it. So in the chat, I've also put, cut and paste a little bit about DIM. That's something to look at, something to learn about. And then I wonder, so how does it look? So I agree about having a diagnosis, even for the most holistic person. I go once a year, to see my trusted healthcare provider, allopathic, and then I would probably call Holly, Auntie Holly, a trusted herbalist or, acupuncturist. So Holly, when women come to you after 40 or as they approach, because like we're learning, it's actually earlier. I know women in their 30s who are perimenopausal. I know women in their 20s who have fibroids. I had a friend in college who was 21 who had a breast fibroid removed, and subsequently had multiple fibroids in her 20s in her womb. So when someone comes to you with, I guess symptoms of what, like I came to you, I was like, I'm dry, Holly. Sorry, I'm just being real.
I'm trying to remember that.
That is a real one. That is a real one too.
That's real. That is real.
I should have talked on that too.
Help me, Holly.
I remember that juicy talk. That was a juicy talk.
That's another topic, but we should go there.
No, this is real because that is one of the symptoms that you come across. So for me, I really relate to your story, Sabrina, and thank you. Thank you for that information about DIM. I was unaware of that too. I just want to mention, so for me, I had a very similar story like you, Sabrina. and I ended up in the emergency because I
Oh.
thought I was dying too. I was like, I never had, my moon time be like a water faucet. It kind of freaked me out. And so my perimenopausal period probably lasted close to 10 years, honestly. And so what was explained to me, and I didn't know at the time, is that the word menopause is really just one day.
Mm.
It's so when you realize that you have not had your moon time for at least a year, that it doesn't come back, then that day is your menopause. And then after that is kind of post-menopause. So we kind of confuse things. But for me, going to the being juicy, my favorite herb, just to talk about herbs, is shatavari or shatavari, which is an herb from the Ayurvedic tradition. So it's from India. And it's so I want to talk about rites of passage because Asatu, you've been doing this a long time with the young girls, but in India, as a rite of passage, when the young girl comes upon her moon time, that's one of the first herbs that is incorporated. And I also want to go back to, it's so important, and I'm glad we're all in alignment with that, is it's really about our diet. And unfortunately, I know I could say for myself, and I'm a grandma now, but when I had my 4 children, I recall with one of my coworkers, her trying to say, oh, let's go to the organic grocery store. We got to eat organic, Holly. And I remember going into that store, and I lived in San Francisco at the time. It was New Bright on 18th Street in the Mission. Okay. And walking in the store, because I used to work at Everett Middle School, which is like right down the block next to Mission High. And I'm like, walking in the store, and I'm like, oh, this is kind of a cool store. I could not afford anything in there, period. 2 young boys and 2 girls in my home. And, we were not eating organic. My youngest daughter started her moon time really early. And it was because of the foods that I was buying. So if we can, and so in this time of COVID too, if we're able, or if we have friends that are able to like grow their own food, we got to go there. This is the time we got to go there. Or even like I was starting to consider, maybe having chickens, having my own chickens, I have friends that have their own chickens, but like eating organic as much as possible because we didn't eat like that, and my youngest daughter suffers from different things that are hormonally based. So I guess for me, I want to mention Mama Pat Calloway. So she was the one that told me when I was having my issues, quite a long time ago. She's like, she's the one that introduced me to black cohosh. She's like, Holly, so we would talk a lot because we were making regalia at the time, and I'd just tell her about what's going on, and she would give me all this information, about different herbs, that were helpful for her. So I do want to say, in terms of when people ask me things, it's all about balance, hormonal balance. So part of that is supporting our liver with liver herbs, and the other part is, what are those herbs that are out there that might help me support my reproductive system and my hormones, because our hormones could be all over the place. And the other thing is stress. So what Sister Jane was talking about earlier, I totally agree. We have to stay as much as possible in a space where we're not stressed out, which is really hard to do right now. Or ever, if you're a person of color, or especially right now, what's going on in the world, with Black people and Indian people, it's like really tough for us to stay mellow, chill, balanced, calm. So, but we have to do everything we can to stay in that state. And so that would be some of my recommendations. Individually in terms of herbalism is, we normally, and it doesn't really matter what tradition you're in, but we normally work with the individual because we're all different. And I really like, if we're able to, and in my case, I was not able to do that because my mother did not remember her perimenopausal or her menopausal experience at all, period. So I just had to go with what I had to go with and talk to different cousins and stuff like that. And so, yeah, that's kind of where I'm coming from, Asatu. I don't know if that's helpful or not, because there's a lot of different herbs out there. And just if we throw them out there,
Yeah, it's
So
not
really,
individual.
they got to work with people. Like, is
Right,
that herb going to really be good for you? Are you on medications? If you're on medications, what are the contraindications? But
right.
I want to go back to diet though.
Yes, thank you.
Diet is so important. Are we eating balanced? Are we eating organic? Are we eating processed food? Stop with the eating processed food. But I know I'm guilty of eating my late night ice cream and my chips. When I get stressed out watching that TV, I'm like, that's the first thing I'm gonna do, and I'll eat a whole bag of it. So, not that I should because I know better. And like the caffeine and the chocolate, my downfall is chocolate. And I know Sabrina, thank you very much, advising me not to have chocolate, but I'm a chocolate addict. I'm a chocolate addict. I am Holly. I'm a chocolate addict. So I try to limit, but yeah, we have other people here on our thing. And so, yeah, let's talk more. I do, before I stop talking though, so this is one of the books that
Yeah, that's
Asatu was recommending.
right. I love
Um,
it. And she's updated it and has
yeah,
some
it's a
better
very good book. I do want to mention this book has been really helpful for me, and it was recommended by one of my herbal teachers. I went to school, the California School of Herbal Studies, and also studied at the Dhyana Center in Sebastopol. They specialize on Ayurvedic. And the other school that I went to was founded by Rosemary Glasser. But I'm going to go back. The first advice I got around perimenopausal stuff was from Mama Pat Calloway.
right.
We get our advice from the community,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, and when we're lucky and blessed to have our elders who can help us. Can I throw in my book then? Because you just threw out all the books. I like Susan Weed. I love Rosemary. But I want to go back to what you said, and I hear you, that you work with an herbalist because we can't diagnose ourselves. Our bodies are so unique and different. Jamie also mentioned that, like, at least get your prescription right. Not your prescription, your diagnosis. Find out if it's fibroids. Find out if it's cysts. Find out if it's your hormones. At least find out the information, and then stay in. If you're holistic, treat it with your diet, with your exercise. But Susan Weed, I like her too. And this one is called Down There, Sexual and Reproductive Health. She's just very accessible, just a very hippie accessible, talking about, but I would also just go to an herbalist I know and I trust, who love me and could support me, that I felt comfortable in telling the truth, because sometimes we're embarrassed, we don't want to talk about, and I think that Jamie also brought this up. Sometimes it's intergenerational. Wait, are any babies on here? Okay. Intergenerational shit that you're bringing, and shame and curses and other things you're bringing into this next rites of passage in your life. So yeah, being open to.
There is one other thing I wanted to bring up too, is it related to that, because for any person of color, our peoples have been colonized and or enslaved over centuries, and we carry that in our DNA. And so I just want to again mention, well, not here, but mention the Maori healers. So there are other things that we can do that can address those issues and those causes, and even within our families. I was in another gathering with Indian women, and one of the things that came up was murder and missing Indigenous women, but also issues around rape. And we had a really deep discussion around that. And some of the women were coming out with what's even happening within the families. And I'll have to say that it's a little bit related, but a little bit not, because we have to really address those things in our communities as well, and even within ourselves for our strength. So I want to go back just a little bit. I'm just going to drop the word nervines in terms of herbs, and the word adaptogens in terms of herbs. Shatavari is one of them. And then, like, what are the hormone regulators? And then also bitters. And also acupuncture, because I know my go-to is acupuncture. But I do want to say, with allopathic medicine, they look at menopause or perimenopause. They just look at women's health in general, is that it's an illness. And I'm sorry, it is not an illness. It's just part of us.
That is a
We
fact,
are.
Holly. I'm gonna piggyback on you with that.
Yeah.
That is the man.
Thank you.
They will
Continue.
treat
Yeah.
they will treat men. Men can get, things that, treated for them very it's deep. But it's like when it comes to us, menopause is like something that is not seen as it's just like, yeah, okay, next. And which, so you're complaining? It's like you said, no, I'm hemorrhaging. No, there's this happening. No, I am going through a phase of I passed out. It's just not seen as something that should be treated, which is why I say the balance and the overall understanding of what you're dealing with is so crucial, because we really have to, we want, like I said, as women, first of all, we really take on a lot. That's just our natural state. We're healers, we're teachers, we're mothers, we're aunties, we're just who we are. We're coaches, we're informants, we are informing the community on a daily. It is just who we are naturally. And the thing is with that, then again, like I said, then you go into, man, here we go again. I'm bleeding this heavy. Now, how do I maintain that life that I passionately live if I'm bleeding out my, what, all day? Heavy, like I ain't never seen in my life. Going through 10-hour pads in an hour. How do I maintain this uplifting, passionate, living, vibrant person that I truly am if this is what I'm dealing with? And if no one sees that as a problem, what do I do to manage that? And that is something that I think it is so important that as women, we don't need to use the word strong. I'm like, that's so overrated to me. It's like, kick the word strong out the door, as more see it as, how can I love on the naturalness of what I know I'm dealing with? This is my body, this is my temple, and I want to be this person in my community. How do I balance this community in-house and externally? How can I be this person when I'm dealing with this? And that's why it's so important to get a hold of it so that we can, it's like, I truly don't know what else is more important than this. I'm gonna be honest, especially at this stage, 40 and up, 50, 60, it's the next wind of being all that you are about to be for your life and for those that you love. So it's like, if this isn't important, then it's like, if you don't want to get a hold of this and your nutrition, nutrition is darn near 80% of everything to me. I mean, then what are we going to do? And yes, it can be expensive. Yes, we do have all these blocks and these borders of keeping us sometimes financially to take care of things that we want. But if you can find the resources that match what you can handle, then that's the best that you could do. But you find ways, and we live in this technology world right now that our ancestors didn't have, that their resources are they're there. They're there. That's all I can say. They are there. I tell my 12-year-old is telling me that, Mom, what do you mean you don't know? You should know this. You must be Miss Google. I mean, it's just the idea of Google being a huge site of information where we all can put our thoughts, feelings, information on there so that you and I and everybody else can find it. And that's now amazing. We don't have to go to the library. We don't got to wait for anything else to come in our mailbox or anything like that. It's like, it's at our resource in every sense of the word in moments like this. So it's like, to be able to have this, we're elevating already something generationally that wasn't able to happen.
Right. And I just need to add something to that, because when we begin to embrace all the parts of ourselves, I'm already 63. And so I totally relate to what everybody.
You go, Holly. You look good. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. That, in how I felt in my 40s and then how I felt in my 50s. And I opted, I made a choice. I opted not to do allopathic. And, but those changes that we go through, they also serve us. So moving into the next stage of the life, we need to embrace that, especially like, okay, we're the women, we're the strength of our communities and we hold everything together, but we need to let go of some of that too. We need to let it go a little bit, because we need to take care of ourselves as well. And so, not to say that we're not strong, but then when we come into this space, and I don't know, maybe some of the others that are in my age group could speak to this, where it's like, okay, I could step a little bit back and share what I know with the other young people, but then also embrace the fact that, you know, after all these years of experience, there is a lot I have to share and say, and, you know, embrace that, hey, you know, there's nothing wrong. And this is the problem that we have in this society. There is nothing wrong, and we should honor our elders. Like, I don't consider myself, you know, an elder, but I did tell my children, because I raised them as a single mother, it was like, I am the matriarch of this family, and they know where the rock is in this family. They don't question that. And so even though, right? So they don't question that, and, you know, they listen to that. And so I could just step back and be like, oh, okay, let me watch and observe in this. And I think for some of you younger women, it's okay to take a break. Give yourself that self-care that you need. You know, don't work your butt off. You know, I know I did, and now I have to, like, you know, I fall down now. I didn't understand that before, but I fall down and hurt things. I'm like, oh, I better walk a little bit slower. Somebody better wait for me. I'm not rushing.
Right.
Yeah, I got this meeting that I'm not going to run. You know, so we have to embrace that part of ourselves, whether you're like 30s, 40s, 50s. I mean, there's a time and space for everything, you know, and I do watch some of my elders, and, you know, like, I'm gonna mention Pat again. You know, I reach out to her, and she's dealing with what she's dealing with, and she will communicate with me when she has her time and space to do that with me. When I, you know, the elders that I seek information from, you know, I have to wait. So let me shut up. And there's so many other women on here.
There are, and I want to welcome everyone. Malila, let's see who else. Hi, welcome. Sister Falami from Philadelphia, another of 6 generations of healer, is on the phone. And we're a little sprung because, oh, my sister Maisha, welcome. I see you in the middle wearing that fabulous Erzuli fuchsia. So I'm gonna have, if you have any questions, so just jump in. We are talking about this, our womb health after 40. And I just want to recap for you, those who made it, that we have some suggestions that I'll just send to everyone. It seems like we're on perimenopause and menopause, like that seems to be the discussion. And then we're throwing out some resources, and in the chat we have some really great books. I'm going to back up. We talked about Christiane Northrup. You talked about another book. Jamie mentioned DIM, this really great compound, and it's a plant compound, so it's natural. I didn't realize that, but and she described how to use it. For people who don't know what Nervine's adaptogens are, could you go back to, because I think that goes in with, does that have to do with regulating hormones?
Do you want me to answer?
And then I'm going to ask actually, since we have 2 herbalists now, so Falami and Holly can answer this. So the adaptogens, you mentioned nervines and adaptogens. And then we're talking about hormones being like a key part of this transition. And so why do we need nervines? Why do we need adaptogens? Holly or Falami?
Oh, I'm hoping Falami will.
Oh, Sister Falami, can you hear us?
Yeah, she's able to, yeah.
I was trying to figure out how to unmute this. I apologize. Good evening, everyone. I apologize. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I couldn't get on. So adaptogens, they adapt to different things. The nervines deal more so with the nervous system. Like when you think of when I think about a nervine, I would think about valerian. That's something that would deal with the nerves. And when I think of adaptogen, I think of something that you can take this herb and it pretty much will, it adjusts to, how would I say it? Like, let me think of what I would think of. I know if I think of adaptogen, I think of, trying to think of how it would go. I think of peppermint is kind of like adaptogen because it can, but it's a cooling herb too. But also, it's to me, it can adapt to when you have fever, so it can kind of go with the chills. But then at the same token, it can also be like calming. How it gets to the first brain, which is the gut. So anything that kind of deal with the gut is really your first. Well, they say it's the second brain. Some say the first brain, more or less.
You're good. Wow.
So, and I was also, when you was talking about what's it called? Okra. If you eat a lot of okra, there's something that's in the African American culture, or even coming from the Geechees, people from Liberia, eating a lot of okra, it keeps you so you won't be dry. Eating okra, because I was like, wow, I ate okra all last week. Why was I? Woo. So that okra really keeps you it keeps you
Juicy.
I agree.
it
I
keeps you not
agree.
being
I agree.
it keeps you not being dry. And like Holly said, for me, I was 40 years old and I didn't understand, but everything, I'm 56 now and I understand everything full circle. So I worked in an herbal store and women would come in with so many fibroids and different issues. And I even had a dream of what to take. I took red clover and prickly ash when I was going through perimenopause. That's what came to me, but we're all individuals. So that might not work for Jamie, but it work for Falami, and it might work for Sister Asatu, because we all had different blueprints. And another thing I also found out as working with herbs, someone had hurt me one time and I actually felt it on my left ovary, and it was a female. I had really extended myself to her and she really, did something hurtful to me, and I felt it on my left ovary. And so your left side is your female side and your right side is your masculine side. So sometimes when you meet women, their left ovary bothered them or their right. So depending where those fibers come in at, it can be men unresolved issues or females unresolved. And some of us that work with the babies and with birth workers, those things sometimes will manifest right up on our left ovaries. But that's really like Holly was going on earlier saying it also has to do with our diet. We're like multidimensional. So it's just not just, I seen women coming in and take herbs, just take all these herbs, and she still did not heal because she was dealing with some deeper issues. So sometimes we take herbs just kind of get to some of the physical. Sometimes we need to get to the DNA where we've been subjected to rapes, and we've been subjected to sometimes relationships that still are inside of us. So we need to heal holistically the whole part of us. So sometimes when we look at the herbs, we're taking the herbs and it's still kind of not affecting us because we need to deal with some things emotionally and spiritually, the whole thing. So sometimes herbs will help us, but sometimes we need to get to the root of it. And sometimes these are the symptoms, the fibroids and all this stuff that show up in our wombs. They're just symptoms. They're not the whole, we're bleeding,
Wow.
It's deeper than bleeding.
Okay, Ashe.
Yes, Ashe to that. That is so, that piece is, it is not just the physical, it's the whole person that of who you are. It is your lineage. Diet is important, your mindfulness about where you are and who you are, accepting you wholly. But another piece, it's exercise. We are so sedentary. Where do you get in your car and you drive? You get out, you walk a little bit, you get back in your car, come home, you sit down on the couch. For me, I am, how old am I? I'm 58. And when I went through my whole second spring, it was so very lovely. I've always loved having my moon time. I think it was a scientist in me that would want to play with the little livers that dropped out to see what it is. But the Tai Chi practice that I do, it just also is very healing and helpful for me. And so exercise is so important to integrate into your daily practice, as well as what Holly was saying is just letting things go, taking a step back. You don't have to do everything. If you allowing something to let go allows someone else to rise up and do it. And then it also gives you grace for you to have time for yourself, self-care, be very loving and kind to yourself. Yes, it's a wonderful circle to be a part of.
Thank you. And I'm gonna honor everyone's time, but I do want to hear everyone's voices. And so I
Yeah.
just want to recap. I want Jamie to just I would like everyone just to shout out something that has worked from you. We're going to make sure I have everyone's email, that you have some resources. I'm sure Holly, Jamie, you'll send me some resources to pass on. But one thing that has worked for you, or just your parting words for this sisterhood of 9 is, I'm not surprised that this is Oya's number and that there are 9 sisters here during these storms, these winds, and these fires. So I feel like we've already created some magic here, and we're sending some healing to our brothers and sisters and Holly is like right under the fire. So sending love and prayers to Holly and her whole community and our folks all over California who are and just praying that we appease one of our mothers, Iyansa, as she, does what she does, cleanses and purifies when we run amok, when we run amok. So just one word from everyone, or if there's something you can offer, even Malila, like a posture, a yoga posture that might be soothing for cramps or something, or self-love. So starting with, I'm just gonna pick a corner. I'm gonna start with Shorty.
Yes, I'm all into the email.
Yeah. Just
yes.
something that has worked for you or is helping sustain you through this transition, your next rites of passage, your spring. She's called it next spring. That's so beautiful.
Jordy, I just realized that was you. I just had to interject and say hi. Okay.
What I have learned is I'm starting to be more in tune with my body. So the thing is, I'm not anemic, so that's why it's not what my doctor was saying, let your body go through, don't take the horn, don't do these type of things. She was a Black doctor too. That's what I loved about it. She said, do not take these hormonal things. This is what you can do. She was like, you're already part camel, you drink enough water, but just relax as it comes. Just get into a space where you can relax, breathe it through, just breathe it through. And then she also told me to stop stressing so much. And I said, okay, that's kind of, it's not hard to do, but it's not easy to do either. So what I have learned is to, if I feel tired, rest. If I feel mentally exhausted, my day is done. If I feel a hot flash coming on, just stop everything, drink the cool water, get your fans, do whatever you need to do, change the mind state that may have been giving you that hot flash, and just relax. The thing was breathing. When you guys were speaking, you ladies are so informative and such a great pivotal piece in the community that a lot of women need to hear this. What I did pick up is the thing about hysterectomies. And my mom at 23 had a hysterectomy due to endometriosis. So she went through menopause way early. My grandmother, I think, was pretty much done in her 50s. So it's like now that I'm 43 and they have transitioned, it's kind of hard to kind of pinpoint, but I'm starting to understand it better. And this conversation helped me out a lot more than what maybe a year ago, right? So it was like It was just different symptoms. But my doctor said, let the process take its course. It's going to be up and down, but let it take its course. When people tend to remove organs and things like that, it causes more of a problem. So, because I was like, yeah, I want a hysterectomy and be done with it. But it's not that. It's a lot more to it that people don't understand after. And so you guys explained the during and the after of what you could be going through. It's just a up and down road, but I love the information that I got, and I appreciate everybody input. Really, I do. Thank you. Thank you, Asatu, for sending this information to me.
Oh, you're
Because
so
it's necessary. It is very necessary, because I don't know what I'm going through sometimes. Sometimes I feel stir crazy, and sometimes I'm like, forget it. I don't want to do nothing. And it just makes you go through those things. And then when you have mental health, I have PTSD, right? And I've been through my traumas, domestic violence, all those things. So it triggers, sometimes things trigger too, but it helps me to understand it so I don't go so out of my mind and stuff. It helps me to, I have to learn how to ground it. So with you guys' advice, and I can't, like, I started changing my diet too. Certain things I just can't stomach, I can't digest anymore. So now I'm just, it's fish, fresh vegetables, fresh fruits. If I can ever have it to myself. I have a 13-year-old and a 12-year-old. I have two boys who also are into fish, fruit, and vegetables too, right? So as we're all eating the same things, it's actually making everybody's mental state better. So I thank you, all of you ladies, all of you queens, for this wonderful advice.
so welcome. And then do you want to pass it to someone really quick? Or I'm gonna call it like a classroom teacher. I could do that too for the sake of time. Oh yeah, go ahead, Malila, and then Maisha.
Hi, thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Oh.
And I came in the middle, and it is so beautiful what is being offered up, and just taking the time to honor ourselves and to care for ourselves. And for me, I'm in my perimenopausal phase in life. And for me, it's really honoring the time and honoring how I feel. I feel like for most of my life, during my mentis, my moon cycle, I would treat life as usual and move along as everything, I'd push through it, if you will, or, pretend it wasn't there. Really invite oldest, who's the first of my children to have her menses, is to honor that time, right? And I do that through modeling, and so slowing down. So I don't do my asana practice. I don't do my moving yoga, if you will, during that time. I sleep more, go to bed earlier. I like to cut out dairy and gluten during that time as well, and really focus on the foods and just think about it as a cleansing time, right? It's a time to flush out everything that I don't want in my body, right? That could be thoughts, emotions, right? The foods, the toxins, anything that's just not serving my body and my mind. I use that as an opportunity to release it, if you will. So my yoga practice goes more to restorative poses or just child's pose, very simple, and returning more to the meditation. And I have to say right now, it's just everything that's going on in the world, I feel like I'm returning again and again to the meditation and mantras. I think mantras have been huge for me. And kirtan, singing, but my kids don't. Love waking up to that all the time. Like, oh, there she goes again. But if I can get them to join in. So I just want to say thank you. I think that this is a beautiful opportunity for us all to pause for a moment and love on ourselves and each other. And for that, I am very grateful.
Oh,
Thank you.
thank you. I've written down some of the things you said below. And then Maisha.
Greetings. I unfortunately missed most of this because I was in a staff meeting that ran forever. I actually left and was like, no, I'll take the consequence, and came here. But from what I did here, it was wonderful. That some things that I do for myself during these trying times are, I mother myself. All the things that I tend to do for my daughter or remind her of, I definitely try to do it for myself. Making sure that I get 8 or 9 hours of sleep every night is super important to me. I know that I need that. That's always been how I am. Naps are bad for me, but getting that whole solid 8 or 9 hours without getting up and using the restroom or anything like that has been great. Managing my water intake with sips of water throughout the day, just constantly sipping water, maintaining that balance throughout the day has been amazing for me. My daughter and I do a lot as far as growing things. I've actually taken on a lot with flowers since her rite of passage program a couple years ago, and she took a bath with the mud and the rose water that she made herself. We've had gardenia water, we've had rose, we've got plumeria water we're about to make. So we're taking it from all different parts of the globe, and we grow these things here, and she's constantly making it, and she's crushing everything, and she's, you know, wafting it around, and her spirit is reminding me of my youth, which is the last time that I got to really surround myself with people with conscience and just the whole spirit of the universe and everything around them. Like, you can see certain things in people, and that hasn't happened to me since I was like 22, 23 years old. So it's so good to have that reflection of me remind me to mother myself and to do these things for myself, surrounding myself with good people. Like when jinns come in the room, I'm out. I leave. I'm sweating like a slave right now, goodness. But this is vanity. It's not like perimenopause or anything. I'm actually at 49 years old, still nowhere near menopause somehow, with polycystic ovaries and everything else. This is vanity. I have a makeup light on me so I look decent. That's crazy, huh? But yeah, we cook with our herbs. We even though things don't necessarily taste good, when we know that they're good for us, we will ingest those things. The bathing piece, super important. Just letting the semi-permeable membrane that is our skin take things in and push things out. All of those things. Just constantly having the good around you. I know we need to purify our air. We're starting back with our incense. When my daughter was little, she hated it, but now she's like, Mommy, buy the incense. The incense, the oils, the natural essences of things. And just on good days, when the sky is blue, we know that we feel better. When the sky is gray, we feel terrible. We know why, and we make those changes. So I hate that I missed this. You'll have to do part 2.
Yeah.
And the other piece, definitely for me, masturbation is so important. It's so important.
I was waiting. I'm sorry.
You're waiting for somebody to say it.
If you can, if you're in a household that you can.
Yeah. But you got to do something in the shower, self-stimulation. Do something for yourself. Yeah.
I'm mad at you.
You're supposed to have what, 24, 25 orgasms a month?
Yeah, Susan Weed, she has a whole talk on elders, and she recommends she recommends 5 to 7 a week.
Yeah, that's every day.
She's in her 70s. I'm like, okay.
Every day.
Yeah.
I know that I need to do that for myself.
Ashe. Well, thank you. I put it in flower baths and masturbation. Just joking. Sorry. Sorry. That's why this one will be edited, and this is not for the babies. not for the babies. But you should. Well, that's a whole other topic. Talk to them about.
You know whether you need to do that or not is what I'll say. You know.
Yeah. Anyone else? I would like to hear from everyone. I actually. But I'm very respectful of your time, and I know that I am teaching at 5 in West Oakland, so I'm good. But I would love to hear anyone with a burning, Sabrina, Holly, anyone, Sister Falami, whoa, Jamie, anyone want to say anything as we?
Okay, I just have one word.
Okay. Oh.
Is butterfly. So when they bring up the word menopause, perimenopause, all that other, we are just transforming into something beautiful. We're already beautiful in any form that we come in. So even like when it's, the worm, the worm spinning its little cocoon, it's still beautiful. So all stages of life are beautiful. We just need to start embracing that. And every time, the outside society tries to define us, we have to define ourselves. I am so honored to be with all of you wonderful, wise women. Thank you for inviting me, Asatu.
Oh, you're so welcome. I'm so honored that you all showed up. And thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for your experiences and being transparent and sharing. I mean, we're here to share with each other. And, I do believe in each one, teach one. And so I have a lot of notes. And, I will be hitting everybody up. But I'm saying reach out to your local healers. Find out, that's what I heard, find out what it is, the root of your, and then work on finding your relief, your pleasure, your balance for yourself, and then honor that time. And I'll just say that. And then anybody who has some delicious information, please send it to me so I can share with everyone. And I do appreciate you. Next week, I'm going to have the girls. So I don't know what the topic is. They'll come up with it. It might be how to not kill your Zoom teacher. I don't know. We don't know what they're going to come up with, but we'll see what the babies, the young queens have for their mental wellness or something. So I do appreciate you, honor you, love you, and thank you for joining this very beautiful.
Thank you. I think it was really good. Thanks everyone, and I appreciate all the information, because like you said, it's a each one teach one. And I also say, always go out and do moon work and do what you enjoy in life. If sometimes it's just going in their kitchen dancing and people work your nerves in this house, sometimes I go in the kitchen and I dance. I do anywhere between 100 and 200 sit-ups. And no, I don't have the flattest ass, but I get down because you need circulation. And I believe that's why I've been pretty much blessed with my menopause. It's been really great because I don't know. I learned how to start really getting to self-care. I really have as I got older, because kind of, put everybody else first. So really getting self-care somewhere in your life.
Yeah. I think it's the lesson from womb to tomb, teaching, honoring self-care. So on that note, thank you. And hopefully I'll see you next week. Have a wonderful evening, everyone.
Thank you. Have a good evening, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you. Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ciao.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Guys are waiting for me. Okay.
No, I was going to say, thank you so much for thinking of me and inviting me. It's such an honor. Thank you.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome.
And then is next week for the kids then? Is that how it goes?
Well, it's intergenerational. It's for the kids, meaning that the girls will have questions for us, for adult women. So they'll come up with a topic. So it might be about mental wellness.
Okay.
And they'll be asking us. We're not as the experts, but as the They want to learn from us how to do this adult woman stuff. So.
But did I see any kids? So we bring our
Yeah.
our daughters with us? Oh, beautiful. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yep.
lovely. Okay,
Okay.
thank you. Thank you. Good to
Welcome.
know.
Have a good evening.
All right. You